Welcome to my messy life. Take my hand and dive right on in with me. It's gonna be alright. Messy imperfect life with Leigh.
Haley Joel Osment, I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see you.
Thank you. We haven't seen each other in 2 years.
I think so, yeah.
Did we only know each other that one time, or had I seen you there before?
No, at the that Christmas party a couple times too. That Ackerman does. No, that Scott and Kulop do. Yeah, we hung out that too.
That's right. I think I fell in love with you though on a private jet, which I don't get to say very often. That I write them very often, but I happened to be on a private jet with you, and I know that my husband fell asleep quickly. And we made fun of him and put things on him and snapped photos with him.
We did a great photo shoot. Yeah.
Who did a photo shoot? Did you get on him and do stuff? We all did? Or?
We all did. Yeah, we were all kissing him on the cheek and stuff like that.
Man. And did what's his name participate? The man that I adore, but he's always a little grumpy.
Oh, I don't know if there's anybody grumpy on there.
Yes, it's what's his name? He's a comedian. He's on Maisel right now. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And he's bald, and he just finished his podcast.
I thought it was just Forte and Adam Scott and everything, and they're not grumpy.
Wait, was Chris Daughtry on it?
Daughtry was on it, yeah, yes. Yeah.
And there was one man who couldn't take him, and the whole time was like, God, and he makes me laugh really hard. And I can't think.
Is it Kevin Pollak?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin was on it. And I remember Kevin was like watching, like he's always a little in disdain, like what is going on here?
Well, he's there to play poker, and he always takes my money as long as I have money at that table.
You play the poker.
I always say, no, I'm not going to do this because I really am not very good. And like, I'm too chatty for poker too. Like,
yeah.
I like to
Did you get yelled at?
No, I don't think I've been yelled at, but I definitely am like, I need to make my exit. Like, this is a game for serious people.
And he's serious.
Oh yeah. Well, like he was on television during the World Poker Championships, I think in Vegas. He placed somewhere crazy up on there. And then last year, I just met her for the first time. Andrea Savage took all my money very quickly. She is very good.
That is so funny.
So it's my same attitude when I go to Vegas. I'm like, I'm here to have fun, and there
Everyone
you take my file, and I'll go over there, watch people sing karaoke. Yes,
I love that you find out who's good by who takes all your money.
Yeah,
yeah. She seems like she'd be good because she's kind of sexy and like.
She put different glasses on too, and I was like, okay, you're in like killer mode now. Yeah.
She had on her like ugly person glasses. That this is business. This isn't trying to look cute anymore here.
Somebody should go some year, and you know how there are those people in the Vegas tournaments where they just put headphones in and like have dark sunglasses and don't interact at all with everybody. Somebody should be that cold at the table.
I'm surprised Kevin has not been that way. Who else is good besides him? Like who gives him a run for the money?
He's good. Kevin Rahm is good. Sam Levine is good.
Sam Levine's so sweet and gentle, though he doesn't seem good, but he's right up there next to Kevin.
Oh yeah,
they're like little buddies, I think.
Yeah, I think they have a podcast together. I think. Maybe.
There's
so many podcasts.
I just heard to get higher numbers for your podcast, my podcast, any podcast, you have to go on big podcasts.
That's how you do it.
Well, I haven't even thought about that. So I called Kevin. I said, I'd like to come on your podcast. And he said, well, after 8,000 shows, I stopped it a month ago.
Really?
So you cannot come on my podcast.
Wow.
I would have loved to have you.
8,000 episodes.
I made that number up. I think it was 400.
Take that that's still a lot.
It was some big number.
Marin's only at 800 or something, and he's been doing them for a good long while.
I'm going to ask him next.
Do a Marin.
Why not? Why not? Dave said to Dax Shepard for me because they're working together.
Yeah.
Leigh would like to come on your podcast. She'd be a great host. I mean, a guest. And he was like, just tell her I got shitloads of friends who want to come on it, and I only take experts. And I was like, well, I am the parenting expert for Deepak Chopra's Global Wellbeing app. And what is Dave an expert on? Bullshit. So anyway, I'm going to have to reach out to him personally because I was like, that's how I have to get my stuff a little bit.
Absolutely.
I thought it'd just be getting hot guys like you was enough. I'm like,
which is always fun to get. You know, I'll start a podcast. You can come on it, and yeah.
Could you do that soon? Because I need some jumps.
I think I missed the podcast boat. I think like 2009 was the time to start and get.
That's not what Ben said. Ben said a lot of people are quitting what they're doing to do podcasts now. Who did you just say that about?
YouTubers are jumping to podcasting.
Sure.
It seems YouTube's kind of a dead medium now with all the restrictions
Isn't that
for independent
crazy?
creators. Yeah.
Yeah. What's next? And then somehow TikTok is supposed to be the replacement. I don't understand how. Because does it do anything besides lip syncing videos? Like,
Right. I guess you can just sell a bunch of merch from your bio.
Yeah.
But if you're a comic or something, you can't sell tickets because everybody's 14.
Yeah.
No one can get in the clubs.
Oh, that's funny.
So it's like, what's the
you
point
wait in the
of
parking
that?
lot in the back,
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah.
come out and do merch. Yeah. Oh my
Have you
God.
been on TikTok?
No, I didn't. I stopped with Snapchat. I started with Twitter in like 2015, and I stopped with Snapchat 18 months later. That's not entirely true. Like
Snapchats where pictures just pop up and they go away.
Yeah, I think Instagram sort of absorbed its thing into Instagram because the stories and the temporariness of it. And
Yeah.
This is now a tech podcast, and I don't know that much about tech.
I don't know anything about it. I always a surprise you knew about TikTok because my girls are always like with their hats on sideways going like this.
I'm reading articles that like TikTok will like transform the Chinese economy. You're like, how? Like,
'Cause they're
there was
great
that guy
TikTokers.
who drank the eggs and all the beer. That was cool. Maybe it is changing society already.
Everything's changing
just
society.
watching some farmer from a province out. Anyway, I thought it was some sort of great moral standing to be like, I am not on social media. Like I do not. I had this thing on MySpace years and years ago that was just me holding a sign that's like, I'm not on social media. But of course, someone just takes that photo, puts it on another account, and it's like, oh, actually, that was just a joke. I do have social media. Like, remember how people used to make a lot of fake accounts before the hallowed verify sign made that more difficult for people? But now it was like, I started so late that Twitter really, now you can read about sports in real time. There's all this other, it really became a rabbit hole for me. So I'm hoping I'm at the end of that phase and I'm starting to migrate back to books a little bit more.
Yeah. I don't know about books.
Or Kindle,
Something good. Yeah, I do audio. I do Audible.
Yeah. But then that works. What I read that sucks is that if you don't have a spatial relationship with text, they say it doesn't enter your brain as indelibly as reading it on the
Because it's
page.
having more senses involved
Yeah.
in absorbing it.
Yeah, or just that like it exists in a
Visual.
void. Like if you're just flipping pages on that's why it's like I'll read a ton of news all day and it's like I guess I absorbed some of that. But the last book that I, physically went through, that sticks in your mind.
Are you a
Like,
smart person?
I don't think so.
Like, did you do really good in school and make good grades?
I did do well at school, and I was good at taking standardized tests, which at the time was helpful, but now I'm like, maybe that's a bad thing because it helps you. It means you have quick access to superficial knowledge. Like there's a way that you can. I was good at like figuring out what tests wanted. Like I was not very good in chemistry, but I did great on the chemistry AP because it's a test and there's a formula and you can kind of tell what they want from you.
Wow, that's a skill.
And it's something. I wish it was useful for more than that.
Well, maybe you could become a SAT tutor.
I really should have just gotten into politics because politics. Or yeah, I could be an SAT tutor.
Well, that could be your
would be
side
fun.
job.
Yeah, I'd like to read all that old stuff again. But I remember mine was one of the first years to get the essay on the SAT. They added this component to it, and somebody in college prep at my high school was like, it's not the accuracy of the information. It's the quantity of information that you throw up there. And it was true. You could just say things that weren't true. But if you just vomited off a bunch of references on the page and tied them together in the most tenuous way, you could get full marks on it, which ended up being true. So I don't know how good that is for America's college freshmen.
All of it's weird. What'd you write your essay on?
I think the question was just like, what does learning mean to you or something like that? And I had been to like a Pixies concert that week and I'd been listening to Miles Davis. So I was just Pixies, Jack White, I Love Supreme, John Cole, just a list like hung together with paper clips and it worked. So.
That's so funny.
And then the other thing they say is they're like, the grader usually spends 25 seconds on each essay. So I'm like, great, I'll put a bunch of words that will pop out on the page and that'll work. So.
And they're like, God, this guy's creative. He's referring music.
In a very specific way.
Yes. We're not quite sure, but it might be genius.
My friend and I were driving to the SAT. I was driving him to the SAT that morning, and I was listening to Miles Davis because it was like, oh, it's smart music. Like it'll make us smart. It'll get that part of our brain going. my friend just looked kind of disturbed on the way to school. And then he was like, Haley, I hate this music. Sorry.
This is not stimulating my mind.
Sorry, you're not being
it's
stimulated.
stimulating my pain anger center. I have to just jump into a little bit of your work because I liked you on the airplane as a human being, forgetting what you were in. Meaning at the time, it didn't matter to me. Whoever was on the plane, I just liked who they were. But last night I rewatched, I have a few favorite movies for specific reasons. One is Heaven Can Wait with Warren Beatty. And I just remember, do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
And I remember when all of it went down at the very end and he, became the great quarterback and he was going through the tunnel and he passed her and she stopped. She was, excuse me, could you please tell me where, I'm doing half Chinese, half English. I'm not sure her accent, what it was. But she's like, where the bathroom is or where I can find so-and-so, the trainer. And he said, yeah. And he kind of started to point and then he looked back at her and she was just staring at him. And he was like, have we met before? Even though he'd been wiped out, the connection they still had was so deep. Like, I remember thinking that's the most romantic way a man could ever look at a woman. And I was like, in 8th grade, 7th grade?
Yeah.
I don't even know. But that stuck with me. All of it did. I loved it so much. And another one was, and I didn't know you were in this one today until my assistant said Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And the reason I love Forrest Gump was because it doesn't matter where you came from or what you think you are, what people judge you to be. You can experience the most joyous things in life just by saying yes and showing up and having an open heart.
Yeah.
And I love that so much for that movie. My husband hated it and makes fun of it because I don't know why, because it's feel good, maybe, I don't know.
I think people are still mad that it won the year that Pulp Fiction was out there, and I think people are upset.
Because that hardcore kind of cool blood splatter against this really simple, beautiful, lovely message. But anyway, that you were his son in that.
Yeah.
And what was funny is I was saying to my assistant Alicia, I said, one of my favorite movies of all time was The Sixth Sense. It's hard for me to say that for some reason, like I'm drunk. The Sixth Sense.
It is a bit of a tongue twister, yeah. We would always say Sixth Sense. We just leave the out, yeah.
Sixth Sense.
On the call sheet, it was a 6 with the cent sign, so we shortened it even further.
Yeah. So I'm like, I really love this. And people are like, have you already started drinking? I was like, I've only had one vodka. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I remember I saw that movie with a girlfriend, and when I came home that night, Dave was at a bar with Neil Flynn having a cocktail, and all I could see, the scene, and I watched it last night with a friend and my daughter who's 8, which might not have been appropriate, and she didn't want to sleep in her own bed, but I made her. But it's when you're going pee, that's the scariest part for the whole thing for me, that and the girl with the vomit. When that passes and you're cold standing there and you know something's going to happen, you see your little body so nervous to go pee, and then you see that body pass. I mean, I did it again last night. That movie was amazing to me because you did have this, I'm so spiritual, that this kid did have something that other people, and I think that happens for real for people, right?
Yeah. I
know people who communicate or are mediums and who see stuff that I don't.
Yeah.
And I love that was so long ago. 91, 99?
99.
99.
Yeah. I weirdly, or just coincidentally, I just saw it, the whole thing, for the first time in a very long time because it was the 20th anniversary screening at Hollywood Forever. And night came and we did a Q&A with Jordan Peele. It was a super cool night. But I had not seen it in a very long time. And it's cliche to say it, but I was like, man, those things hold up about it. Just at its core, Night designed the movie so well, and having this, horror quality to it that ended up being something that he could learn to use for good is like a very,
that's
very
what
affecting sort of thing.
And the first time I saw it, I didn't know Bruce Willis was dead.
Yeah, and that's the other, because now I'm like, how can you?
Everybody else, I saw their head blown off.
From the first scene, but. If it's really the first time you're seeing it, it's like
you don't
he's
know
disguised it so well.
But when I watched it this time, I was like this. Oh, that's why his wife's saying, she's not even looking at him when he's saying, I still love you. I'm sorry I've been distant.
Yeah.
I'm here. She's like, happy anniversary, and walked out because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Seeing it the second time last night was magical for me, because then I got how you transform from being in fear to realizing they just needed you to voice something for them.
Yep.
They just had something to say.
Yeah.
And that, I think, represents people today.
Absolutely.
That they just don't have an outlet to say things. And when they do, it's off their chest. And then the person can help them. And then they can go away. And so at the end, Bruce Willis got to say goodbye to her. And it was cold. And she was breathing the cold air. And he then started going, oh, that's why I can't. The door's locked.
Yeah.
That's why when she went down the first time to get the bottle, it was cold.
Yeah.
Because that bad guy was there.
Closure. And one thing that my dad said very early on, just after reading the script before I ever auditioned or anything, was he said, this is not a horror movie. This is a movie about communication. And the horror comes from that because the worst thing for anybody is to not be able to communicate to someone that they love or to get themselves across in that way. And
to
that's
be seen and heard and understood and to be believed in.
Yeah.
Because that one guy who came, who shot him, was saying, you didn't hear me.
Yeah.
And then with you, he was going, oh, I'm doing the same damn thing with this kid.
Yeah.
And I love that you saw him as dead and you knew the whole time.
And that he makes a choice. It's one of the most, in my entire career, just one of the most rewarding experiences charting all of these decisions that he makes because of Knight's brilliant design of that movie. Of early on, you can see this is another torment for him. This is another person who is not going to leave him alone, who's going to show up. I think he shows up at his school and it's like, oh yeah, you can come here too. Like there's all these things that then ultimately he makes a decision that he's just going to try and accept it and live in Bruce's denial and just try and humor him in that way. And he never would have reached, the realization that he gets at the end of the movie if he hadn't, made that choice.
Yeah, because when you were scared saying, can you sit with me?
Yeah.
It was validating him, making him feel like he's making a difference, right?
Right.
But also you were scared as shit. You'd rather take a ghost.
You'd rather take a good one, a nice one than
because might creep in.
Than one that's going to hurt him.
And you could have also turned to him and gone, look, you're dead. Lift your shirt up.
Yeah.
Touch your back.
He had never tried that, I don't think. Like with
because
all
everybody
these
else
people.
was burn victims or vomit coming out that's what I loved about the vomit one. That you went back.
Yeah.
Because although she was scary as shit, I mean, that was my second scream. You went back to her maybe because she was approachable because she was not far from your age?
Could be,
because you didn't go back to most of them.
Yeah. And I think she was one of the few, he had thought that the tent that he had in his bedroom was a safe space and then she could go in there too. Yeah.
And then that's when you were able to receive your character, not you. Yeah. You were able, you still see those dead people, but your character was able to go back and see her.
Yeah.
And realize she was just a sick person. And then she gave you the message. And when you go back to the dad,
I
was like, that's where the whole thing turned around. To you realized, oh, I just listened to her instead of running the whole time.
Yeah.
But that woman in the kitchen, was that your mom's mom in the movie?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because she seemed pretty harsh. Like, get her that ready. And then I just saw it last night, so it's fresh.
Well, that and seeing it in the cemetery a couple weeks ago for Hollywood Forever, that jump still worked on people. It was nice because there was people who'd seen it before and there was a healthy mix of people who hadn't. And it only works because Knight has set up the entire movie that he's not going to do cheap scares and he's not going to have those things. So when there is something surprising like that, it's really earned.
And they aren't cheap.
No.
They're scary as hell.
And they all serve the story.
And they serve the story.
Yeah.
That's freaking amazing.
One of the first meetings we had before we started shooting it, Knight was like, we're not going to make, a movie where you're going down a dark hallway and you feel a hand on your shoulder and you jump, but it's your friend, those sort of things. It's like, because in real life, your friend wouldn't sneak up in a dark hallway and put his hand ominously on your shoulder.
Just
we're all going to find it through.
That put you in the
those guys. Yeah, except those violent bullies. Yeah.
God, and I so felt for the mom.
Oh man, her performance of that is so great. Yeah, she got nominated too. And
did you get nominated?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's where you were the youngest. It says millennial.
Youngest millennial. So they found a category I can be first in. That's
the
very
youngest
kind of
millennial ever nominated. My sister read that to me and it made me giggle that they put the word millennial. I hadn't heard that before.
Oh yeah, I'm an old millennial too. I think I'm on the back end.
What does it go from? What age?
It's like early 80s ish to around the year 2000, I think, and then it's Z or Generation Y.
Anyone born between 1981 and 1996.
Interesting. So you have to be
So are you in that?
Like sentient by the year 2000.
Are you in that?
I'm in that. I'm 88. Yeah.
Oh, you were born in 88?
Yeah.
Wow. It's so funny when I'm my age, I keep forgetting my age. I think I'm close to almost everyone, but that's when I graduated from college. So I'm 50.
Well, now it's like time is great. I'm 31.
Oh, you're 31.
Yep.
You have a way of carrying yourself that seems more, I was going to say more evolved, but more experience, or I don't know.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And you know what I like about is when earlier we were talking before we started about Halloween and our costumes and things like that and driver's license pictures. But when you were talking, you were so sweet how you were talking about your friends and having such sweet memories of these people. And I bet you're still friends with them.
Yeah. Yeah. That was important through all of, the chaos of, being an actor is that, I have close friends when I was really young from before I did any of these movies, and throughout high school and college, like I had a great school experience in every level and still are friends with those people.
Where'd you go?
So I went to, Flint Ridge in La Cañada for high school, and then NYU for college.
Wow. So you are smart.
It's not Ivy League. Nothing against the school. But I loved it there. Those years were some of the best of my life so far.
Oh my gosh. And did you really get to come out as an individual, as an actor, not with your parents, not where you've been, but step in your own? Like, I think college is such a beautiful place to start to own yourself outside of your parents' home, but you don't have to be full on your own yet.
Yeah. I really, really wanted to experience living somewhere outside of Los Angeles. And it was the perfect place. Because in New York, it's just, you can see a good show of any kind every single night of the week.
I know.
There's definitely, part of me is like, oh, it would have been interesting to have gone to a more traditional campus or something. But in New York, you're just immediately on the streets of the city, and the city is yours to explore, which is very exciting.
Were you in New York a lot before that? Because with your career, having to go to New York, was this your first real experience of it?
I had taken short trips there before, but in my college trip that I did with my dad, which we just did most of the Eastern Seaboard and saw a lot of schools, NYU stood head and shoulders above the others because there were some really fancy tours at certain colleges and, certain beautiful campuses and all this stuff. But nowhere was like 721 Broadway, which is where I went to school all 4 years there, where I walked in and talked to, some administrators and teachers, and you could just feel that like work was going on in the other rooms. And then as soon as they're done talking to us, they're going out to like make something. And the feeling in that building was very exciting.
What did you major in?
I guess it's a Bachelor of Fine Arts, I guess. It was the experimental theater wing there.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So you did theater.
Yeah.
And did you aspire to be on Broadway?
It was definitely something I was interested in, and I did do one show on Broadway.
As soon as I asked that, I was like, I have no idea if you even did Broadway. I might be putting my foot in my mouth.
It wasn't a great success, but it was a terrific experience, and I still really want to do theater and still look at plays, and like usually it's difficult because the time commitment takes you
it's like
away
8
from here for
months
so
or
long.
something.
I'm white knuckling like living in Los Angeles right now, even though I still really wish I could be in New York because that's where most work is cast and most work shoots. But
for theater.
No, for just film and television.
Here.
Yeah, but I love doing theater out there, and if I had a choice, would probably be out there. But
so you were raised here, you said, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I was born here and lived here till I was 18.
And where was the place you said? Not Rancho Cucamonga. Where'd you grow up?
Oh, Flint Ridge. I was born in Glendale, and then went in La Cañada. Yeah, lived in La Cañada when I was in high school.
Oh, because because La Cañada is like super nice and the great, like the place to go for public school.
Yeah. Oh, great school system.
Yeah.
And there's like 5 big high schools all within a couple blocks of each other in that area of La Cañada. There's St. Francis and LC and Sacred Heart and everything is all around there.
Did you grow up Catholic school?
No,
or public?
Not at any point. I went to Verdugo Woodlands in Glendale before, and then Flint Ridge was 7 through 12.
So I went to look at La Cañada when Dave and I were thinking about having 5 kids in private schools, and why are we throwing away all of our money?
I can't imagine how expensive it is now because it was expensive when I went.
It's insane. So we went to look at that town, and we got there probably around 3 or 4, and we looked at a school and we did something else, and then I was like, well, let's go to a bar and have a drink. There was not one open. The whole town closed at 8 p.m. And I was like,
It's a little sleepy.
I can't do this. I can't. I have to be able to go out.
I'm looking for a long for a home here basically because I just moved back full time. And I've looked in Locking Down and I was like, wouldn't it be funny? Because when I was growing up, I had the same impression as you. It's a very sleepy main drag. I was like, it'd be very funny, you know. If you have a compound there, I think you could entertain yourself.
If you had a compound, you could. You get a lot of people over and hanging out.
Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you know?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, tell me, what were you going to say?
A joke about the Spawn movie ranch where he lived with the Manson family, but...
Oh, is that in La Cañada?
No, but I was just, that would be something that, you know, I could set up.
Oh, I see. So I don't know the reference.
Yeah.
So it's something kind
You
of
should
fun
see
and
it. It's a
magical.
great movie, yeah.
I'm going to. The person I wanted to see with had already seen it. And the other couple people had already seen it. So I guess I'll just go
you also need like 5 hours to go see it because it's over 3 hours, you know, with trailers these days, you know, it's close to 4.
The ArcLight doesn't have many trailers though.
That's true.
That's where I go.
Yeah.
I can have a cocktail, bring it in, watch the movie.
I'm so glad they're coming around to stuff like that, where it's like, it shouldn't just be popcorn and candy. You should be able to have a little bit of a dinner there. Make your evening at the movie theaters.
Well, there's somewhere in Pasadena or Glendale where you actually can put back the chair and they have a server that comes and brings you meals.
iPix, I think, in Pasadena. That's a good one. And then Alamo Draft House just opened downtown. That's a good one.
How fun.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Do you go do fun stuff a lot?
Yeah, I do.
You go out and see things?
I do. I try and do activities. And the funniest thing where I do this is when I'm on location. I'm a very aggressive like sightseer. You know,
that's so funny. Not driver, lover,
who knows
sightseer.
Who knows?
You just knock people over on the subway to get in first.
Gotta see this. No, the probably the best distillation of that is we were doing the Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, where Zac Efron plays Ted Bundy.
That's what you're on right now.
Yeah, that just came out this year. Yeah,
and it's on
Netflix. Yes,
and it's got picked up, right?
Oh, that's just a movie. That's just a.
What was the show?
The
you're in
Netflix
now?
one is the other one is a Kominsky Method.
Oh, that's
that
right.
one just came out. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're waiting to see if that's
really
gonna
big
be.
people.
Oh yeah, Michael Douglas, Alan Arkin, who I got to work with a lot, who's a legend. And they just have a huge cast of people who will come in and be in that show.
Of course.
Pedigree of people involved.
And my assistant told me that you have a superpower, which is...
No, that's The Boys, actually.
Gosh, damn it. That's what she told me. You're too busy and I don't watch anything. Damn it. I'm out. I'm sorry.
I will say
I'm sorry.
A spoiler alert, so don't listen to the next 5 seconds. I have been killed in almost every show I was on in the past year. I had just like a murderous year in 2018. And this thing happens when you're...
And that's sad when you get murdered because you're off the series.
Oh my God. Well, and then
it's grieving.
Much more invested characters, like reading the stories when people died on The Sopranos or died on The Wire. And you're like, it's like someone really died because you're not on the show anymore.
Yes.
But the funny thing is that when you are to be killed, they bring it, and like if there's already been a season before, they'll bring you in to meet with the showrunner and the writers, and it's kind of
you're wanting to go screw you for fucking writing me up, bitches.
But it's much like in the ancient world, if someone was going to be sacrificed, they get treated really well leading up to it because they're like, look, you're going to have a great storyline this season, but then you will die.
So enjoy every minute.
Yeah. So it's a good trade-off.
Yeah. So what is your superpower on The Boys?
I am a mind reader on The Boys.
I love when she told me that because you played I See Dead People and now you're a freaking mind reader. You have these sixth sense.
It all comes full circle, right?
I love it so much. And that's a movie that I'm going to see.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I'm really horrible. There's not a picture of two boys looking up. That's The Boys or Boys. That's not your movie.
I don't know what that one is.
Okay. Because I saw something that said boys with two young boys looking up. It's like, if you're in that one, I'm going to be pissed that your face isn't.
There's not many actual boys in it. It's mostly men and women. Some girls.
Wow. Sometimes it doesn't really show that I don't know a lot.
Well, who can keep up with anything these days?
Seriously.
Like, there's so much to watch. I have a long list. We were just complaining about the Notes app. A very long list on my phone of just.
What's the Notes app? Oh, where you just
the yellow,
write in
just
things.
the pad. Yeah.
You just pop your notes in and then sometimes forget to go back and then there's tons of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Accidentally swipe and delete it and go, huh.
Yeah, I hate that. I went on a dating app for my first time and accidentally swiped yes to people who I would never even, my finger got the best of me. I was like, what's happening?
Was it positive, or did someone you wanted to go back and find, or you
No,
accidentally
I was swiping right. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I go, you're supposed to go the other way for that guy. And I was like, whatever. And then my fan was like ticking, and I go, I have to get off. This is too much for me. I'm messing up my own dating life. Okay, you know what I'd like to talk about? No, I don't like to. I actually love to.
Yeah.
Is talking about something messy from
Yeah.
your life, because I think that is when we get people feel they retreat, ashamed, guilty, and alone.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about this is that you're not alone ever.
Yeah.
And there's always people going through at the same minute what you're going through, or people who have come out who can share something to show the light that's coming.
Well, yeah, when you told me about the concept of the show, when I was looking back, and I was like, I could feel like in some regard, my entire life has been pretty messy just because of the life I have chosen, where you don't know where you're going to be week to week. You can get in a relationship with someone who has to be ready for you to go like, oh, bye, I'm going to Canada for 3 months. Like, hope this works out.
Yeah.
And one where you said people feel alone, one where you are literally alone a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know, and from a young age, that was a constant in my life. So I am still at 31 figuring out how to be someone that has a cohesive community, and someone that can be in a long-term relationship or things like that. And part of that is the reason why I moved here full-time. It was like throughout my 20s, I was doing the bi-coastal thing.
Yeah.
The ridiculous thing that is a lot of fun, but
It's
sort
not
of
ridiculous.
keeps you.
It's perfect where you were.
It
But
is.
now you're wanting something more, and wanting more of a foundation, a community, permanence, or nothing is permanent, but something more meaningful.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a beautiful place to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially
Yeah.
because you came from here. You know, I'm from Kansas, and I was like, this is the place.
Yeah. It is really tough, I think, for people to come to LA having not lived here before, because it was hard for me to come back here and feel like I didn't really recognize the city, and sort of had to. Well, when I was at college, my sister would call me and be like, what's a good place to go on a date? And I was like, I don't know. I can't remember what to do in
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
That's true.
But yeah, it's being an actor makes you someone who lives in hotel rooms a lot. It's, I think we maybe not as extreme as like comedians or musicians when it comes to being on the road, but there is a lot of living in weird small towns in America and being pretty isolated from the rest of your life.
because you don't want to go out and hang out with fans. That's exhausting.
There are some people who can pull that off. But I don't have it in me.
That's because they're just wanting to party. They'll party with anyone who's near.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's unpredictable. I've missed, weddings in the family. And there have also been, it can be a cop out too when, you don't know how to end a relationship, but you can just be like, oh, I'm going to the other side of the world. Like, sorry, it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
So learning how to construct a life or even have a dog at this point is something that is still a goal of mine. So,
Oh my gosh.
and I think that and when talking to a lot of people just in the past couple of years at varying places in the industry, people who seem to have it made and who are on big projects and people who are still getting started, there is a lot of anxiety right now about how our jobs have changed, and
Oh my
how
gosh.
with streaming and all this stuff now, an algorithm has seemed to told these companies that the only way to make money is to do 2 seasons of every show, 6 to 8 episodes, and then cut it off after that because they're not bringing in new viewers. So there's a lot of uncertainty right now that would seem to make us even more peripatetic in our lives. But
What's that mean, peripatetic?
Transient.
Okay.
Yeah.
I learned a new word
I may have
today.
said it wrong. I may have overreached on a word.
No, I think that you got that at NYU, and I'm learning. I know that Dave, when I can remember a specific time in our marriage where he said, last year they made, I'm going to make numbers up like I did 4,000 to 400 with
I'm holding you to it.
him.
I'm going to tell him
Larry?
the next time I see him. I
Larry?
was like,
You
congrats
said
on
you had 8,000
4,000
podcasts.
episodes.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what my tall tale was. But the Dave was like, last year they made 145 pilots. This year they made 12. Or last year they made 48 movies. This year they made 12. Or whatever it was. It was like a giant difference because they're doing so much more reality at that time.
Yeah.
That it kind of exploded. And Dave, it's like old school blinders. This is how it goes. You get a script, you read it, and then scripts weren't coming. because not very many were being made.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what now? And that's when he started doing stand-up, because he's like, I guess I need to find another
That's
income.
smart. Yeah, that's a great thing that stand-ups have, is that you can go, as an actor, you can't be like, is there a club that will let me do that scene from episode 3 maybe by myself?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm envious of people who have that skill and who are in those improv groups and everything, because you can go out and like practice your craft most nights of the week. So that's a very admirable thing to do. But just overall, I feel it's like you talk about people feeling alone. There's a pervasive loneliness in a lot of these sort of jobs these days.
Well, you know what I really feel like?
Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah.
I think that we've gotten like my kids rarely look at me unless I physically restrain them and take their phone or verbally abuse them into surrendering it. You know what I mean? Like there's this thing where that's how they are raised.
Yeah.
How society is raising them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're having dinner together every night at 5:30. Well, we did that for years. We did. And now they go directly, they have a snack, they go in the room, they do their homework, then they get on their stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get out of your room. They said, I'm done with all my homework. I'm like, I don't care.
Find something else to do.
I want to see your face.
Yeah.
I want you to touch me. I want you to sit next to me on the couch. Will you watch the news with me or anything? You're speaking about series earlier, and I was talking how I've not been watching a lot. The one series I watched from start to finish was The Sopranos.
Oh, man.
And
yeah.
I think that was my last one. And that was my favorite thing ever.
Yeah. Now, have you rewatched it since you watched it the first time?
No.
It rewards it. I've probably done it 3 complete times since it came out, including the first time. Actually, that was a funny one because my parents had all the DVDs and I was like 12 or maybe younger when it first came out. After like a couple seasons, could hear them talking about it all the time. They'd be like, no, it's too violent for you guys. So I started stealing the DVDs and they'd be done with them and watching it through there. And it took a while for them to figure it out. But like I snuck The Sopranos.
It took a while for them to figure out how you're joining in the conversations now.
Oh shit. Yeah.
When he got hurt, when he raped her.
The way that it's different, because I watched it when it first came out, then I watched it when he was still alive, but it was like years later. And that meant something completely different to me because I just gotten older and you see a little bit more of life and what that show covered, which was so much, meant differently. And then since he has passed away, it takes on a really different, intense feeling because for me, that whole show was just about him exploring his relationship to death and including death that he caused and his own death and the breakdown of his family. So especially towards the end now that he is no longer with us, like these really profound explorations that he had with it, it really hits you hard. Because I think he was one of the greatest actors of any medium ever.
He was so good that I found him to be the sexiest human on the planet.
Yeah, he was.
And
a lot of people say that.
He breathed heavy and he had a huge belly and but I was like, oh my gosh, you're so hot. And I think it was because he was this big persona and he was in charge of this big family and this big thing. But also you could see his panic attacks and his vulnerability and his deep caring, although he had to play big all the time. And it was so hard for him that he had panic attacks, to navigate his heart and what he had to do to man up to play his role in life. I found him to be off the hook.
Yeah.
Sexy. And I mourned when he died.
Me too.
Because
he was
my hero in a certain way without ever knowing him. I think I might have met him once.
Yeah.
I can't remember because it didn't matter. I just loved him so much from the show.
Yeah.
It sounds like you think about stuff like that, how profound things are and how deep meaning things have. And even you watching The Sixth Sense again, the things that came back in a way that you hadn't even realized about life.
Yeah.
It's amazing, I think, that when we get older, we can have a whole new perspective that's so much richer and more meaningful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people talk about my millennial generation delaying things like getting married and getting a house and having children and everything. And I do feel a lot of people now are sort of kind of waiting things out now, or getting very analytical about seeing what exactly is going to happen because the previous things that seem concrete that you could rely on are all sort of falling away at the same time. So it has made us very reflective and has put us in in new territory for people in their 30s who still feel like they're waiting to drop into the chute of what their life's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that uncertainty now is even making the chute further off or way too deep to jump in.
Yeah.
Right
and,
now.
literally everything is on fire right now in the city. It's great. It's a crazy time.
And it's kind of like for me that I'm really realizing that everything is impermanent. Nothing ever lasts forever. This life, relationships, nothing, because we're changing every day. And I think there's such beauty in that where you go, oh, shoot, I don't really have to wait for anything, because if I fail or if it doesn't go right, I'm just back to jumping back up, looking down again. You know what I mean? It's like a freedom, I think, to just do the shit you want to do without waiting anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't feel that way because you're in it.
Times. Yeah. It's still, I feel like, whether it's.
But you're a lot younger than me, so I've had way more, I don't want to say way more life experience, but more time on the planet to experience.
Yeah.
More shit. More mess. The gift of the mess.
It is a gift.
It is a gift.
Yeah.
Not when you're in it so much, because you're in it and you feel it and it's painful, whatever. But after, it's like, I'm stronger and wiser from that.
I know how to handle it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't have to handle it next time because I'm going to learn the lesson this thing came to teach me. So it's even with we haven't really done anything official, but Dave and I are kind of looking at our next steps, if our marriage is still serving each other or not. And that foundation, that was my foundation, man. I met my beloved, and that was the foundation that my life was on, and when I saw that crumble, and I looked down and I was like, feeling so alone, my old story from my childhood. And I was like, now what? I'm nothing. I'm no foundation. And then within 30 seconds, I was like, oh, wait a second. Oh, wait, I'm still standing. Oh God, what do you have in store for me that I couldn't have done if we stayed together? You used me to be of service in a greater way because I have complete freedom now. And I feel like the world is like, I don't even want to sing it, but I want to sing a whole new world. But sometimes my voice is good, but right now it's a little fucked up. So I'm just going to say
There's smog today. There's smog.
You don't have to go any further with that one. Please. But it is that going like this, like I'm 53 and I just got unlocked. I just got opened in a new way where I'm like, all the things I've thought about doing, I can do. Like I'm completely untethered to experience life, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazingly beautiful. So I think too, when we get aware that the mess is good, we can get quicker to the learning. So, and I've learned a lot about myself from what I did to cause, what my part was in it, because I'm never going to do that again, So I'm really clear on my part, and I have a deep gratitude and love for him forever. I love him. And I am in gratitude for what he had to go through to propel me forward, and that feels good, that there's no blame and bullshit of making anyone wrong or bad.
That's great.
It feels so good.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. If you can at all help me remember why I went down that. No, it's because I think what you were talking about, just learning from stuff.
Yeah.
And closing the gap from pain to suffering to, I don't actually have to suffer. I felt the pain. Now I can get to the learning, gratitude, forgiveness, and move on.
Sure.
And then it becomes good shit.
Absolutely.
Do you have, is most of your shit? So you were a racer. You have one sister?
One sister. She's 4 years younger. Yeah.
4 years younger. Oh.
Yeah.
Are you guys good friends?
Yeah, we are. And it's funny because it's like you seem to accelerate closer together in age. Like when we were growing up, she was always like one complete school level behind me.
Yeah.
So
Way
when I was in
younger.
high school, she was in elementary school. And then when she finally got to high school, I was going to college. So we were close, but not super, super close.
Yeah.
And now that, then it's like, oh, we're both in our 20s. Now we hang out all the time and like are a lot closer because you're sort of in the same age group and doing the same things.
It does dissolve.
Yeah.
Because my sister's 4 years above, 4 years behind, but now we're the same age.
Yeah, exactly.
But I keep thinking that about everyone.
Yeah.
That's the weird part. I'm like,
Well, I always like to go with like, now you have friends that are all a
Eclectic.
hodgepodge of age.
Yeah.
You're like, if we were in high school together, I would have been like a first grader and you would have been an eighth grader. And it's like
It is
the
funny.
age stops to matter. Stops
does
mattering
stop to matter.
Yeah.
that is funny. And your sister, I knew her from because it's only what I experience in front of me is what I know. Because Dave was Uncle Earl,
of course,
on Hannah Montana.
That's how I first met Dave. Yeah, because he
on the set
of Hannah Montana. Yeah, because he was on a bunch of those.
Yeah,
that was. I had one experience growing up and acting as a kid. That was a whole nother ballgame for those kids doing it. That was an intense show to be on for kids.
Were you on TV shows as a kid or just movies?
Some sitcoms when I was pretty young.
When did you start?
When I was 4, doing Forrest Gump. That was the first one.
Your first movie was Forrest Gump?
That was the first one, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to watch that again with that in mind, just to see your young little body in a blockbuster. Your first one is when you got nominated?
Yeah.
For an Oscar?
No. I wasn't nominated for that one.
Wait, I always make shit up, so help me.
I was nominated for Sixth Sense, which was later.
Oh, okay. Sixth Sense for an Oscar.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so your first one was your first movie.
Yeah, totally out of the blue, and then that kicked it all off. Yeah.
What do you mean out of the blue? So you were acting and auditioning?
I was in the IKEA. Now there's a new, much larger IKEA in Burbank, but I was at the old IKEA there. And they were doing something which sounds absolutely bizarre now and would never happen now, but was happening then. They had 2 casting assistants taking Polaroids of every kid that walked through the door. I don't think America's Most Wanted had come out yet or something, but
or the Predator
and
show.
now it was 2 nice young women. That was different than one guy, in Aviators or something. But they were doing that, and it was like, we're doing a audition, a cattle call audition, and did it, and they picked the Polaroid off a pile, and I came in for a cattle call audition for a Pizza Hut. Got the audition, in a matter of weeks, I think, went and shot this audition that appeared on television, and the casting director for Forrest Gump saw it and got in contact. And then that happened, and it was off to the races.
Wow, isn't that insane?
It's complete random chance. Yeah.
No, nothing's random.
Yeah. Oh.
Nothing's random. Everything is so serendipitous and so specific and meant to be that you were there on that day, had that picture taken. Got that.
I wish I could remember what my mom was buying. Like, I wonder why we were there.
And it sounds
what piece of furniture it was for.
It sounds like you have a good relationship with your father.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and
both
your
my
mother?
parents. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
How did they do that? What did they do?
A whole lot of things, but I think part of it was, we just genuinely enjoy each other's company, but my mom's a 6th grade teacher, so there was always an understanding of, being somewhat strict, and like we weren't really allowed to run wild as kids and everything. Everything was very...
And boundaries and structure are so healthy
very
for children.
Important, yeah.
To feel safe.
Yeah. Because I'm a weirdo artist, so like I definitely have a wild side to me. But I know that if I have kids, I will, I will definitely hew to what my parents did with me, which is it may even be to the point that they're not allowed to have smartphones if I can have anything to do with it. Because
you can't.
Yeah,
you can't because if you say no and everyone else has one because you think you're really protecting them from society.
Yes.
Well, they'll borrow their friends.
Yeah.
They'll create accounts there. They'll have to be with them all the time because they can't do it at home.
It's like banning e-cigarettes. They'll just make something worse if they ban it completely. You can't win.
Yeah, I think anytime you withhold things from a child, it makes them rebel.
Yeah. So it's funny because like that is sort of, but that's,
you have rules and boundaries.
I think it's Patton Oswalt has that bit where he's like the children of hippies are always very much squares who like very want like a very vanilla life because of what their parents did. But it's that weird kind of equation you have to have where you have strict boundaries for your kids, and in resisting against those, they sort of find their identity through that. Yeah. I think that was part of what happened to me. But the one of the biggest things I can think of with my parents is just that they always taught us to be great, because I was in it so early, to be grateful for all the other people who are involved in it, down to the little things like hanging up your wardrobe when you're done working.
Yeah.
And not just saying it because you have to, but it's like, imagine the person who's staying even later than you, who's just as tired, coming in to clean up your stuff. Like, they don't want to be picking it up off the floor.
Yeah.
Early little things like that of always being considerate of the work that other people are doing. I think
that's like
helps.
kindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I think that's the best trait we can instill or model.
Definitely the most important. Yeah. Other things could be fixed, but if you're not kind, like, what's the point? Yeah.
I have I seem to form car relationships with screaming to the cross guards at my kid's school. And there used to be one that I called Shuffles because he was always just shuffling around in a spot. And I would yell, "Hi, Shuffles." He'd go, "Good morning." We just had the scream thing. And then a new gal came and I started screaming at her and she'd scream at me. And every time I'd come, she'd go, "Good morning." We'd just have this. And my kids are always like, "Can't you just keep the frickin' window up? Like, you constantly, can't you stop ever?" And then one day I rolled down and said, "Why are you doing like that?" She's like, "I'm so cold. I don't have any gloves." And I heard that and I went home and found my soft gloves and a soft scarf. And then I pulled over kind of crazy and they go, "What are you doing?" "Don't get out of the car." Like they can't take, I'm just a wild freak running through the streets. And I went and wrapped it around her and gave her the gloves and helped her put them on. And we were both so touched, like just having a moment with her that I saw her and she saw me, just a gratitude because my heart filled with love every time I scream out at her and saw her, look up, and wave. And I felt like, gosh, that feels so fucking good.
Yeah.
So I remember just running out, giving her the stuff. And my kids were like, they got in and they didn't say anything. But Audrey, who's 13 and like wants to stab me with forks all the
That's the
time.
age.
Yeah, she's like, I said, this is really a fascinating study for me to watch your pure, kind heart turn into a rager. Like this, Audrey, this actually is entertaining. With my first daughter, I was a little offended.
Yeah.
Audrey, I take nothing personal and I know it's just a part of where she is.
Yeah.
I set boundaries. Like you can't say F off to me again.
Yeah.
Well, as much as you can try not to right now. But if we could just try and say frick or anything else. So in case anyone else hears, I'm not a bad mom. Because really, I don't care because she's expressing herself in our home.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if your friends are around, you're saying, "Shut the fuck up to me."
Yeah.
You can't.
That's not cool.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
But if you say it once when you're really mad and I'm not really listening, that's okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, she had a smile on her face.
That's great.
And then the next day we passed by and she waved and she had them all bundled up. And Audrey goes, "Oh, Mom, look, that's so sweet." And then, that they could see it in a way that's modeled kindness is like that. Not you guys telling me to shut up all the time, but me not listening to that and still doing what's on my heart.
Yeah.
So anyway, just made me think of your parents modeling things such a way for you to have kindness as an adult.
It's the only way I've survived all this is being raised the way I was. Who knows what happened otherwise. Yeah.
And did you, of course, go through periods of, as did I, complete raging, wild, crazy drinking. Did you do drugs? I know you and I partied together.
That's the thing is that in high school, my parents were pretty strict. But it teaches you to be sneaky and to, go out to
in college.
I don't know. But in college, like by that time
no?
you're 18 and like, yeah, I mean, there was drinking throughout all of it, but it's what you got to learn how to exercise moderation with.
It's hard.
You go through high school where all you want to do is go to parties and everything, and then by the time you get to college and you can do all of that. You
go crazy.
I think the Europeans have always had a better method for it. Of not
you just start drinking at 12 with dinner.
De-emphasize the specialness of it. So
yeah, because ours is like you can't have a drink, you can't get into a bar, you can't do anything
so fun. You can't do it.
And then you get in and you're like, I'm pouring fun down. Oh wait, I'm dying. Because it's poison.
Yeah, it is poison.
There's not one good thing about it for your body.
No,
mind, spirit, soul.
It's funny to me because growing up, weed was so illegal, and that was a huge. Anybody smoked weed, that was the biggest problem. And then you come back now and you're like, oh, like kids have got it great today. Like that is
I just go to the store and I've never been.
It would be there were kids who were sent to like rehab for smoking weed, and it's like that's not the one that's the problem.
I know, but it has become a problem because kids are stoned 24/7.
I thought it was like that it's dropped off. Like,
I have no facts about it.
I am really guessing what I heard, but as I understood it, it was as soon as when Colorado legalized it, teen usage went down. Because it was that thing of like, oh, you can talk about it now. Now it isn't just a crime or not. But yeah. The thing that's great, I think this is well known, but like the edibles are what are out of control now. It's like, I'm too old to do edibles now. Like, you don't know what you're doing.
When I was going through a rough patch, someone gave me a sleep smoker. So you smoke it before you go to sleep. But I did that and it made me a little wired because I'm not great on pot.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather do cocaine or Molly or get drunk. I don't
That
do
will
those
make
things.
you go to sleep.
But those were my drugs of choice back in the day.
Yeah.
But I smoked a little pot and I was like, oh, I don't like how this makes me feel.
Yeah.
And then I think I ate a piece of chocolate with pot in it. And I kind of liked how that made me feel.
Yeah.
I had like half or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is relaxing.
Yeah.
And I don't have the weirdness of. So anyway, I don't mind exploring it a little bit right now because it is legal and it's on the street corner. And I can just walk out and say, can I have something for relaxing?
Exactly.
And although, I need to
it reminds me of
learn how to use it. It's legal.
I typically am no fun with like supplements and stuff where people are like, oh, like, lavender will do this or that. But whenever I can feel myself getting the flu and I can't be sick because like I have to work or something, and that feeling you have, and you're like, oh, and like the next day
Something's
or two,
coming.
like I'm gonna get very sick.
Yeah.
I will run to Erewhon, gone to that smoothie counter and been like, I'm getting sick. Like, what can you do to help me? And they're always so calm about it. They're like, all right, well, first, like, take a shot of this colloidal silver thing, and how about some seawater out of this little thing, and then we'll make you a $45 smoothie, and like it should cause all your problems. I'm like, thank you so much. Like,
Okay.
I will trust any holistic thing when it comes to the flu.
I have things for you because I'm in the whole spiritual world.
Yeah.
And I've become friends with shamans and Reiki healers and all kinds of things. But I've recently gotten into the one I use is Canapath, but it's CBD oil. And you just take a squirt under your tongue, and it's proven by the medical journals in studies that it decreases anxiety, it decreases heart problems, it decreases inflammation in the body. So my friend said, would you just try it? And I put it under my tongue. I did it every day. I did lavender one at night because it has no pot in it. It's just the good oil part. And so I did it every night. And I had bursitis in both of my hips, and I still exercised, but it hurt like after, like to get up again and walk. I was like, and I have to walk for a little bit to get it kinked out. All of a sudden I was exercising. It was gone. Didn't even equate it with it. I thought, oh my gosh, that's good. And then I ran out of it and forgot about it. And I started getting hip pain again. And I was like, hey, Alex, can that help with bursitis? He said, yeah, it's inflammation in your body. And that's the number one thing, the root of all disease.
Inflammation.
Is inflammation. So now I drink, because I heard that the celery drink, the fresh pressed celery, is like the number one drink you can do for anti-inflammatory.
Nice.
So I have that every morning, and I do that at night. And I'm like, I'm healthy as shit.
Nice.
And I feel so good.
Could use some of that. I always liked the honest tea, Moroccan green tea thing. I've always drank like gallons of that because on the back it was like the good thing in blueberries is GHCB whatever, and it's like this is 32 servings of that. And I was like, well, if I just chug that all the time, that should probably be fine.
It's
like,
iced tea.
It's a really great like mint iced green tea. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and there's other stuff too.
Yeah.
I want to hook you up with my friend Heather, who literally sells oils.
Nice.
But she tells you exactly what they're for. So if you have neck pain or whatever, she can make a roller with the essential oils mixed together. And she can label them back pain, earache, anxiety, depression. And they're proven things that elicit something in your brain that allows you to accept that or bring more of it in.
That sounds pretty good.
It's really weird.
My sister had like this roller that you put in the freezer. So it's like a cold thing that you put on your head. Like, yeah.
Is there something in it or it's just cold?
There might be. It was made out of like jade or something. So I don't think it smelled like anything.
I saw that.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah. And crystals, like I'm from Kansas. I've never been into this stuff, but as I learn more about them, that they have healing energy. Everything's made up of energy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make up how many years? For hundreds of years, thousands of years maybe, that they have been using crystals, kings and people used to get killed for healing people. You know what I mean? The energy about them. Yeah. Everything's so freaking powerful that's available to us outside of our limited human mind.
Yeah.
That's way bigger than us. We have a few minutes left, and I feel like I want you to share something with the audience for them to take away. I don't know if it's about what you do or something you've learned or your message or what's important to you.
I always hate to bring it back to acting. So, but it's just a jumping off.
But it's your life.
Because I've been thinking about this a lot. Because we had this great teacher at ETW where I went to school, and he ended up going to Naropa, the Allen Ginsberg school that he founded out there. That was about all these mystical things. But he came back and gave talks when I was at ETW, and during this one talk, he was like, "As actors, we seek to be completely, at your greatest." As an actor, you're completely open to all the emotional input that your scene partners are giving you and everything that's happening with the performance. But it's a very risky and vulnerable place to be. And it's like, imagine walking down the street of New York City completely emotionally open to all the stimulus around you and all the information that you're getting. And he did kind of an impression of it. And it would be completely overwhelming. In every walk of life, you do have to develop some sort of armor to get through things and know what sort of stimulus to turn away, what things you see driving around on LA that, you just kind of have to turn off your mind to get through your day. So my life as I'm trying to become a better actor and a better person has always been to try and find the right balance between that openness where you let in those experiences and let them change you and affect you in different ways, and knowing when you do have to just turn off the constant barrage of shit that seems to be coming down right now.
And you know what? It's something that I've gotten really good at is because I feel people really.
Yeah.
And something about when I met you, I on the plane, I felt you so deeply as such a compassionate, kind, really cool human being.
Thank you.
And I loved you instantly on that plane. And I was like, I never see you. And that's why I was like, I want you to come because I want to sit with you because you're just a really cool human being.
That's so nice of you to say.
Absolutely. And something that I've learned is I feel people, and so a lot of times I'll feel heaviness on someone and I'll think, I'm not going to welcome or accept that onto me right now, so I'm not going to. But then sometimes I'll feel it and say, what's going on? Or I'll say, how are you? Great, but what's going on?
Yeah.
And if I have time or something, or to let them let it out.
Yeah.
When they don't even sometimes know that they need to or want to. But I'm also very aware of lower level energy, gossip, and all the stuff that's down here, that's not up here. I choose to no longer participate in. So if I see somebody doing something, I just send them love, and that feels so good. But I don't choose to engage. Or people start gossiping, I excuse myself, without saying I don't gossip. I just be like, I'm going to be right back, and I'll just go get something because it hurts my body.
Yeah.
So I've gotten really good at being aware of what hurts and choosing to no longer be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's just a decision we can make. And I still always move with an open heart and mind. Because if I don't, I'll miss the good shit. But I can navigate. That's something that I'm not choosing to be open with or to accept in.
Yeah.
And then it becomes less noisy. And then the dark stuff becomes more apparent. It's not like, are you good or bad? Are you dark? Are you light? It's like I attract light.
Yeah.
And then when the people passing are dark, I don't have to latch with them, but I can pray for them or love them or support them if they need me at the moment. So it's really an amazing thing what that man said, and honing the skill to have a bubble, your love bubble around you that is always open to open, but it won't open to things that are not deserving.
It's the title, and I don't want to paraphrase any of his teachings because he's a real good dude. But the book that he wrote, the title seems exactly what you're talking about. It's called An Acrobat of the Heart. So I thought that was isn't that a great way of thinking of it? Yeah,
that's beautiful. And to know that our hearts are worthy to acrobat.
Yep.
That we can protect them in a healthy way and open them in the most glorious way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I saw your open heart on that plane, and that's why I loved you and asked you to come. Besides, you're in two of my freaking favorite movies.
Oh, thanks.
You're precious. And when you go explore somewhere fun, not as a date, because I don't want you to think, oh my God, this 53-year-old woman's trying to date me, but I want to go. I want to go play, or I want to go to a new restaurant you're going to, or check out an art installation, or whatever you do that's fun, because I'm not in that arena and I want to experience it more.
I definitely am good at activities. So
I'm up for one. Let's have a play date.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Anything
you.
else you want them to say to anyone?
That sounds great.
You don't need people to go check you out or follow you because you just do your work and they know it.
Well, just don't go to the fake accounts. If the background is a wallpaper of my own face, it's probably not my
What is your
page.
account?
On Twitter, it's at Haley Joel Osment, and on Instagram, it's at HJ Osment. I should have made them the same, but I didn't.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I know you shouldn't have. You did exactly what you were supposed to do.
Yep.
And people like you and they'll find you.
Thanks.
But just don't find the fake ones like he said. Yeah. All right. Will you hug me?
Of course.
Okay.
If I can get this
Just push
arm
it.
out of the way.
Take control of it. Push it.
Thank you.
I love you, sweet.
You too.
Haley.
That was great.
I was going to say sweetheart or sweet man or sweet boy. I can decide. So just go with Haley.
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
this is really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.